Hi there, and welcome to Bourbon Turntable. We are the show that blends the love of whiskey with the love of music. Tonight, we are doing something a little bit different. We are talking about rum, and we have with us Turner Wathen from Rolling Fork Rum, and we will get into that and introduce him in just a minute. But first, we have a very important announcement for you.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Don't forget to comment if you're watching live in the chat. Leave a comment down below afterwards. Always remember that thumbs up.
Always remember that thumbs up. So tonight, as always, I have with me Drew Crawley. How are you, Drew?
Howdy, I'm doing good, sir. Yourself?
Good. I'm wondering about the shirt you have on, the smiley face with the teardrop. Is the smiley face murdered somebody? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Cindy had a similar comment when she saw the shirt. No, I have this. This is a official Casey Musgraves merch. She's got the Happy and Sad at the same time song, and people have latched onto that. And I was buying T-shirts of Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings, and I was like, I'll throw a Casey one in the cart the other day. So
there you go. All right, Ben, how you doing, sir?
Doing good. Enjoying a good Sunday afternoon. So
wonderful. You had a little snowy weather there in Lexington, I understand.
We did. Yeah, we got rattled pretty good.
Yeah.
And then actually got to go get a little behind the scenes on the James Pepper Distillery this afternoon. So that was
good.
That was pretty fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And our guest tonight is Turner Wathen. Turner, welcome.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate being here. Appreciate the invite.
Well, we are excited to have you with us, and you have given us samples of 3 different rums, so we'll do our best to not have our first fully intoxicated show.
Right.
But at this moment, I don't make any promises. Just doing a little advanced tasting of one of them and nosing the others. It sounds like we're in for a delicious evening. So, Turner, you're going to walk us through some tastings of things. What do you want us to go after first?
So when we're jumping into it, let's follow the evolution of my partner and I, Jordan Morris and Turner Wathen, and let's start with the El Salvador.
All right.
And so I specifically left these samples blank with only the name of the origin country. But to tell you a little bit about Rolling Fork, hopefully by now we are probably one of, if not the largest independent importers of rums across the United States. So we import rums from all across different origins and jurisdictions and countries, and we barrel age and bottle them here in Kentucky.
Okay. Now, when did you guys get started with this, Turner?
So I started with 2 home stills in 2010, and we went commercial in 2016. And once you get to the point where you think you might want to do something, you either have money or you don't have money. And if I could go back in time, I would not do anything because we don't have enough money.
Mm-hmm.
But we started going down the sourcing route in 2016, and like a bunch of idiots, my partner and I thought that bourbon and Kentucky bourbon or Indiana rye was played out in 2016, which was the biggest of biggest mistakes. And we decided to go chase the rum game because we thought that, much like the American consumers that we associate with, we just like older age spirits.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's a Japanese whiskey, whether it's a mezcal, whether it's an American whiskey or American single malt or American bourbon or a Scottish whiskey, if it's of age and of high quality, it's not going to suck. And we saw an opportunity with rum that we wanted to push upon.
Mm-hmm.
And if we had just stuck with a Kentucky corn or Indiana rye, I wouldn't be doing fucking podcasts. I'd be on a magazine cover.
Well, selfishly, we're glad you're doing podcasts, but So were you and Jordan fans of rum before, or you just kind of decided, hey, this is a path we can go?
So I mean, I'm a fan of spirits, and no, man, no, not at all. I didn't give a fuck about rum. We were playing with sorghum in my garage, and sorghum does not yield commercially high enough to make a viable product, whether you do it grain based or molasses based, so to speak. And all the all the sorghum runs I did yielded about 11%. So if I took 1,000 gallons of water, I would get 110 gallons of water out of it, or of alcohol out of it, which commercially viable products should be 18 to 33 and upwards percent. But you have a commercial floor of being a viable product at around 15%. We never crossed that threshold. No matter how far we extended our cuts, no matter how much we let in, we just couldn't get past it. And so we were already playing with a molasses-based product or a sugar-based product. So the next step in that pursuit, well, actually, honestly, we talked to the guys at Wilderness Trail and we talked to the guys at New Riff, and everybody confirmed that if we did this commercially, it would yield low. So we just ditched our plans. We're like, well, we're already on this train, so let's go with rum.
Yeah. Okay. So
and that was in 2013.
Okay. So, Drew, Ben, you've had a few minutes to nose it and taste it.
A little bit, but man, I've got some serious questions for Turner because I got into distilling as a home distiller myself, and I've messed around with sorghum and molasses, in the garage level as well, and that I find that deeply intriguing. So
I love it. From a practical standpoint, to be honest, it's much easier to convert sugars to a convertible alcohol than it is to go through the gelatinization process of grain.
Right.
So the 7 hours that it takes to cook corn at 200 degrees and then drop it down to cook your barley or your rye and then drop it even lower to drop your barley in.
Right.
Like, that's a whole day process.
It is.
You heat up 15 gallons of water and 9 gallons of sugar. I can do that in an hour and a half.
Right.
And just from a practical standpoint, it was way easy. Once I went on the sugar train, I was like, oh shit, I get why moonshine is a thing. Like, I get why you do cornmeal and sugar and let it roll.
Right.
Yep. Makes a lot of sense.
No, I get that. So the last thing I did with that was actually just throwing out some shit here. I call it a rum, but technically not really. So it was 2/3 was molasses and 1/3 of it was sorghum.
Yeah.
And then I used a mead, a yeast that's generally used for mead. And also had a little bit of, I don't want to say it was a couple of quarts of a year-old dunder that I was able to add to it as well.
You got your own fucking dunder?
Yeah.
I mean, a Kentucky dunder, that's fantastic.
Right. So, and that it turned out, I was able to make kind of a rum from that and share it around, and a lot of people really enjoyed it. So I got some good feedback off of it, but all it did was just like stir the interest for, this is something I need to definitely explore a lot more. But and I'm a rum fan in general, but
it's a lot easier than managing grain. It is. It's just you have less byproducts, you have less materials, and I don't know if you would in your fermentation cycle, whether it be 5 days or 7 days or 14 days. I don't know in the middle if you dumped more molasses or if you dumped some organic brown sugar in just to revibrate. And
I did not. It was a 7-day fermentation, and I let it roll as it was. Yeah.
Day 3.5. Dump dump 2 or 3 pounds of organic brown sugar, or dump some more molasses in and just stir that up, and you will watch that yeast just go after it. They will just start cracking that sugar.
Yeah.
And so the things that we got good at, or the things that we paid a lot of particular attention to, after distilling for 6 years on a 9 and a 6 gallon still, where we really honed in on our cuts.
Mm-hmm.
We added more while the fermentation was going, just to allow the yeast to continue to increase the alcohol content. And also, we would always air dry by putting coffee filters over our jugs, so that you create some airflow or some concept of airflow. And you can also, then you can throw in wood chips and a variety of wood chips that will enhance the overall product flavor.
Right.
But yeah, it's all fun and games as long as you don't light yourself on fire.
Pretty much.
Words to live by in general, I think.
I mean, look, I can't publicly take a stance on home distilling here, but at the same time, it's also not quite as dangerous as a lot of people want to make it out to be. It's not hard to be safe with it, honestly. So
really, I mean, I'm not a genius. I'm not a chemist. I'm a guy that just threw shit at a wall. It's very hard to blow yourself up.
Right.
All the stories and all the lore, the amount, like, considering that the majority of the content that you're working with is water, it's extraordinarily hard to create something that will catch on fire and become combustible to a point that it inflicts damage.
Right.
It's more dangerous with a turkey fryer.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Or a pressure cooker.
Yeah. Well, I think Hunter Coffee has pressure cooker stories. We'll get him on to tell those someday. Yeah. But all right. So the El Salvador rum.
Yes.
Drew, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it noses a lot different than it sips to me. So
I would agree.
Right out away, you get these heavy kind of. It's not quite citrus and it's not quite berry, but there is still some kind of fruitiness to it. But then on the palate, and then some on the nose too, but mostly on the palate, you get this strong like vanilla note, almost like vanilla extract.
It's a vanilla bomb. It is.
Yeah,
100% a vanilla bomb.
It's vanilla. It's brown sugar. There's a little bit of tobacco leaf, and that tobacco really carries over on the palate as well.
So what we're drinking is a 10-year-old base-aged El Salvador rum that when we received it, tasted like creme brulee in glass. Yeah. So when we were looking to source our first small batch product, we were looking at some Jamaican, we were looking at some Trinidad, we were looking at some a variety of other options. And my partner and I kept going back to this sample. We're just like, man, like, what can we do with this? Not to say that this is the best thing that we've ever done, because actually it's not. And not that we do anything because we're just independent bottlers, we're importers. But we thought, wow, this would be something that we could play with a lot. And so we took this 10-year-old base-aged product that was sitting at 110 proof, and we refinished it in a variety of rye, port, bourbon, and sherry barrels for 2 years in Kentucky. And the sherry beats out the rye. That was a waste of time. The sherry totally wins on that knife fight. But we did a lot of double oak barrels. The majority of our finishing was in double oak. And I think that added some roundness to it because it was pretty flat at the beginning. But I really think the sherry and the port and the rye add those tobacco and heavy tannic flavors that you get on the back end.
Now, did you do those as single barrels, or did you blend that after?
Blended it all back together.
Okay, so you blended it all back together, and that's what we have in our glass now.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
okay. Because that may have been that little bit of I don't know, toasted marshmallow in it. Might have been from that double oak, and some of that you can kind of get maybe that port on the nose too.
I get that port funk that's coming through there. Yeah. Really nice. But I mean, I'm sitting here after a few sips, the the finish that carries over, the level of vanilla that comes across in this
So strong.
It's
is
gorgeous.
like, it's way more than any rum I've ever had. And it's just freaking intensely good. This is holy shit.
If you like this, then we're gonna have a good show.
Yeah.
We wanted this to. We really wanted to attack the traditional Scottish American malt in bourbon drinkers when we pursued this, and we followed kind of the Scottish ton process of continual aging. We wanted to go all the way through, where some of the barrels did go rye, port, bourbon, sherry all the way through, and then some of them were like, "Fuck it, this will take 7 years. We just got to put it in a barrel and let it sit, and then blend it together." We had grand intentions, and this is the outcome. It's 110 proof. Sorry, I didn't mention that. It's total years, 12 years age. It's 110 proof. One thing that I appreciate about all our spirits is they generally drink below the proof that they are.
Yes.
And all our products are cask strength. We don't add water after they've hit their barrel sets, and it doesn't suck. It's I keep going back to it. I enjoy it, but of the 3 that we're going to try tonight, it's actually my least favorite.
Okay.
All right.
We're
that begs the
on
question,
a
what's
good
next?
start because it's pretty damn good.
All right. So, what do you want us to go to next? And then we'll talk some more about the business.
So let's go to the Barbados.
Okay.
Question for you guys: were y'all
wow.
getting some good citrus notes coming off that El Salvador? The more it spent time in the glass,
Yeah.
and
I was
opened
a little
up?
bit.
Yeah,
Almost like a grapefruity kind of thing. Like a tart
grapefruit,
citrus.
almost orange peel, even.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
I got a little bit of raisin, I think, or maybe
Yeah.
that was getting that from some of the finishes that had gone through.
No, I think you're spot on. Spot on. So I actually so my grandma makes these cinnamon rolls that she uses vanilla, raisins, and then orange peel in.
Yep.
And I mean, there were several moments where I was reminded kind of that specific profile on that one. It's
And
good.
there is our hashtag fat guy tasting note for the evening.
All right.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh man, this one's quite a bit brighter on the nose.
Yeah. I mean, we thought we were we thought we were accomplishing a lot of things when we rolled out the El Salvador, and it's a crowning achievement to what I've accomplished so far, whatever that is. But everything else just wait.
Now, when did you first release the El Salvador then?
Dude, we released that shit in 2020. January of 2020 was when we finished wrapping up our first cases. I still got shit bottled because I don't want to pay the FET, or still got shit in totes because I don't want to pay the FET taxes on it because I can't right now.
Right.
And it's interesting, and we can talk about this later on, but when people try it, they love it. And it's a 12-year-old product that sells for less than $85.
Yep.
But
That's
nobody
crazy.
wants to buy it. And we also bottled way too much, or we planned on bottling way too much. So it'll be our staple product that we have for 3 to 5 years until we're out.
That's good.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah. For someone who's just tried it and really enjoys it, that's good to know. Because that's fantastic.
Let me know when you want a bottle. We're industry people now. I'll send you one.
You guys are available seal box.
Yes.
Yes. So that's a great place to go. And for somebody interested in picking up Rolling Fork Rums, that would be a great source to go to.
Yeah, I was wanting to ask you about distribution, and I think Sealbox is a good segue into that. So, in addition to that, tell us a little bit about what you have on Sealbox, and then talk with us about where your products can be found for people.
Actually, so Sealbox is currently running a deal right now for this El Salvador. the Jamaican that we're going to try in a minute, and then a 6-year-old single barrel of Dominican rum that we did for like $200, and that's about a $90 discount from if you were to buy each of those individual barrels or bottles retail. We're small. We're just two guys that we also have day jobs, so we work a lot on weekends and when our employers think that we should be doing their jobs, and we're small. We're in Kentucky, we're in Tennessee, we're in Texas, but I do more business with Sealbox than I do with the state of Kentucky. That's no fault to our wonderful independent retailers or Liquor Barn or Total Wine or anything. It's just there's not a lot of people that love rum, and that's okay. This is awesome. There are 3 distilleries in Barbados. Barbados was originally colonized by England, and Barbados was the first European colony to distill rum. If you trace everything back to the 12th century, you're going to have a knife fight with India over who made the first rum. India wins. They did.
Right.
But in the 1500s, Barbados started distilling, and we can talk about Jamaica a little bit later, but there's only 3 major distilleries out of Barbados currently. There's Mount Gay, which is the first distillery of Barbados. There's a conglomerate of the West Indies Rum Distillery, and then there's this, and that is a 9-year-old Foursquare that we finished for over a year in a 1910 Old Forester barrel.
I knew it had to be something like that. Oh my god. Golly. That's spot on. Now that you say that, it all connects the dots. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there, but
interrupt away.
Drew being the old faux guy that he is.
I know.
Yeah. I love their 1910 barrels. I mean, they're harder to get for me than the double oak, and I will buy toasted all day because I think toasted makes a phenomenal impact to the base quality of rum that we receive. But fuck, it's so good.
So with it being, the last 2 that we've tried, one from El Salvador, one from Barbados, are there differences in the core recipes of the distillate, or is there something else going on there that accounts for the difference besides the secondary aging?
There's absolute differences. So El Salvador, there's only 1 distillery in El Salvador. It's the Ron Chichuachan distillery, and they are high hot column still. And they are just banging shit out as a high proof as they can to proof down, which I'm okay with because however they make things taste as vanilla as they do, keep it rolling. But in terms of a complexity, in terms of providing a solid middle palate, that product is pretty lacking. The way that Richard Seal does with a column pot blend, and they do column first, then pot still for their stripping runs and for their spirits runs, you get a much higher quality base product, which enhances the amount of esters and fossil fuels that add to the flavor components, being those fatty acids at a higher content. And he pays a lot more attention to his cuts. He has much more stringent qualities, which makes a 9-year-old, even if I took out our year of finishing in a 1910 barrel, you would still love the product.
Sure.
And it might not have so much butterscotch or some of the coffee at the end, but it'll have the majority of the base components that you all are engaging with.
Is it are they distilling cane juice or molasses, or what is the
molasses?
Molasses. Okay.
So cane juice.
This has got a fantastic, almost caramel coffee kind of note going on to it.
Yeah. And I just really appreciate the middle palate and the finish in that. It just I really, in terms of bringing rum to an American whiskey audience, it ties well to the products that we like to drink today.
Right.
It ties well to a single barrel of Weller, or to a single barrel of Elijah Craig, we'll get to the Jamaican later, but Russell's Reserve, just the things that Elijah Craig well proof. It compares really well to those types of products that we all chase. At least I do.
Right. Now, I was going to throw out, if you're a freaking Starbucks like caramel macchiato fan, you love your sweet coffee with the caramel notes and even the whipped cream and all that. This brings all of that into a rum and a spirit, and it's
either of you get like
nice.
a pepper heat on it, like a red pepper, chili pepper thing on it.
Chili
kind
pepper?
Of
right on the nose.
No, I got it on the palate. I get that sweet, and then there's kind of a wave of like a chili flake or something. And it's a really neat transition.
I won't say so much chili as it almost strikes me more like what's the kind of smoked jalapeno chipotle?
Okay,
kind of like chipotle pepper. Okay, I can see that. Well, this is just so much a bourbon drinker's rum. Like if I was going to try to transition somebody away from bourbon for a pour or two, this would be a great way to bring in some things they're familiar with and some things that they're not.
And you got those leathery notes coming on the finish as well. That's really nice.
Now, Drew, you said as soon as Hunter said it was finished in an Old Forester barrel, you kind of had a light bulb go off there. What about that struck that connection for you?
Yeah, there's a particular walnut thing, there's a particular marshmallow thing, and then there's a particular kind of back end sweetness. I know we all say vanilla all the time, but there's something in 1910 that's almost reminded me of like vanilla ice cream, like French vanilla kind of a thing. And there's like a vanilla ice cream on the back end. And as soon as you said that, I was like, that's where I've had that before.
Okay.
If you pour these two side by side, I think there would be a lot, or those two side by side, that would be a lot of overlap in terms of tasting notes,
Yeah, for me, one of the distinctive things about 1910 is a lot of like dusty old leather, kind of like an old mahogany library, dusty leather chair kind of notes going on. That's one of the things I loved about that. And I can see the carryover into this rum that's really interesting. That plays with the sweet vanilla notes, but at the same time provides that darker balance in a way.
So one of our bigger value adds is that we can go out and procure fresh dump barrels. So we don't have to, the way that the life cycle of a barrel is that it gets built by cooperage, it gets filled, it gets dumped, and then usually it gets broken down and co-packed up and shipped off to Scotland or to England or to Ireland, built back up, and then it's used, and then it's shipped to the Caribbean. So instead of going that route, we bring rum to Kentucky, and we go buy some of the fresh dump barrels that we can get. And one of the more exciting parts of this whole game has been our ability to get barrels that we're like, fuck, we can't even get the juice.
Yeah.
Right. It's so exciting. And we've been very fortunate. I got a way higher hit rate of getting Pappy barrels than I do from the bottle of Pappy.
Sure. Right. Sure. Now, I think you finished some things in Weller barrels. Is that correct?
Yeah. I've got Weller. I've got Weller 12. I got original Bernheim weeded 1997 Pappy barrel that I'm sitting some of this Forestberry in. I got original George T. Stagg. I got 18-year-old Wild Turkey.
Did you do a Did
I
you
can't
do
buy that in
a
a bottle.
Did you do a single barrel with Westport with a Weller barrel? Do I remember that right? Yeah.
That was the first ever Weller barrel that we did.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then instead of Buffalo Trace buying us, we pissed them off, and now they're allocating all their Weller barrels to their Goose Island releases, which is fine. I get it. But just throw me some cash and just buy me out and do that.
So, all right. Well, I want us to take. We're going to do a little interim break here, and then we'll come back and we'll dig into some of this Jamaican rum that that Turner has for us, and we'll talk a little bit more about Rolling Fork and talk with Turner about the things that he really loves in music. So, what I want to talk to you about right now is our friend Matt Bay, Old Man Bay. He is in this DIY hero competition, and you can go online. You can vote once a day, and then you can see the webpage there, DIYhero.org/2022/Matthew-Bay. Go on and vote for him, because what will happen is if he ends up winning this thing, he'll get 25 grand that he can use to upgrade his facility, and it'll mean the world to him. He does some fantastic work. We've got him scheduled to be on a show next month. Fascinating story. He is was a firefighter for, I believe, 25 years, and started doing these handmade barrel signs, and has just done a fantastic job with that. And so go on to DIY Hero competition and vote for Matt, and I know he will appreciate it. All right. So we're going to pour some of this Jamaican rum for right now. Turner, I want to ask you about some of your music preferences, but we're going to talk about like first concerts and first albums. But what was your most recent concert?
You fucking know it, man.
I do know it.
Here's the Danny Carey show. Is me.
Oh my God.
Danny Carey live, man.
It was awesome, wasn't it?
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to watch a guy play the amount of drums that he played for 2 hours straight and not stop.
Right.
And here's the thing. We can get into music. I'm not a Tool guy. I like heavy metal. I like all of it, but I never was like, but I've always been told, and I've always known about Danny Carey. Go see Tool. Mm-hmm. And so they came to Louisville. I went to see the Danny Carey show, and they lived up to every expectation.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It was a really fantastic show. And, it's kind of like they play for 3 hours and do 5 songs. A little bit of an exaggeration, but not much.
It's an orchestra.
Yeah, it really is fantastic. And Maynard is kind of hiding in the shadows the whole time. He's not even on spotlight, but it doesn't matter. Everything else is just absolutely fantastic.
But he also carries it. Like he does. He is the conductor, and he's in a stage in the background singing while everybody else is foreground. Mm-hmm. And these guys don't miss a beat. Like they just they deliver.
Yeah.
As long as you wear earplugs, because that shit is
Yeah, it was my first time seeing them, and
first time also.
Talked with a lot of people that had been to see them 6, 7, 9 times, and they said that was the best show that they've ever seen. So.
I've been hearing that consistently about this tour that they're on right now. The set playlist and what they're putting into the show is just above and beyond what they've done before.
Yeah.
And that's part of what makes me extremely jealous about the fact of what you got to see, because you guys already know that that's my number one band. I'm a huge Tool fan. And so, I have a lot I could say. I could speak.
I went with 3 dudes that are Tool heads that have seen them 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And I went in blind, so I feel kind of lucky.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I just got to sit back and catch the full experience of what these guys can actually produce and do on stage.
Right.
And we walked out, and those guys were like, that was one of the best concerts that we've seen.
Right. And and what you were talking about, Kevin, that's the whole, a lot of people, some people are turned off by Maynard's approach to being a front man as far as, well, we didn't really see him. He kind of stood back in the shadows. And it's like, but that's his whole intention is it's not the focus is not on him. It's the band as a whole unit. It's not about this charismatic front man that's carrying the show. It's about the whole experience and every piece of the puzzle in place. And so he pulls himself back intentionally so that every other part gets to carry a little bit more emphasis into the whole show kind of thing. And that's something I very much respect about his approach to that. So
my son got invited and was invited to go with a friend of his in a suite. And I said, well, if they end up with an extra ticket, you know who to call, right? Ha ha ha. Then the concert was last Friday, and that afternoon he calls and says, hey, one of the guys that was going canceled. Do you want to come? And I'm like, yeah. So that's how I lucked into going, and it was a great experience. But so Turner, your first concert ever that you remember?
So I've been racking my head around my first album, first concert, because so honestly, my first concert that I can remember has to be at the Louisville Zoo, and it has to be the Four Tops, or the people impersonating the Four Tops, or no, yeah, it's, you sing the California Raisin song.
Yes.
Was that okay? Yeah. So so my dad was a huge music head, but he was a big jazz guy. So I spent my whole life growing up with music without words.
Okay.
And why it's like, hey, you want to go to a Tool concert? You don't love Tool, but you want to see something fucking awesome? Yeah, let's roll.
Yep.
All in.
Yeah.
My first CDs in 5th grade, I bought Public Enemy, Fear of a Black Planet. I bought Metallica, the Black Album, and I bought, or maybe it was Metallica, Injustice for All, and I bought a Bob Marley CD. Like I remember buying those 3 things in 5th grade, and then my brother being like, "You're a pussy because here is Dr. Dre and Outkast and Snoop Dogg," and so I've got a wide breadth of appreciation for music. But yeah, I would say, yeah, that was my first concert, give or take.
Very cool.
That's awesome. That list of CDs right there, man, that took me straight back to high school, because I was just like about 9th grade, 10th grade, right in there. Fear of a Black Planet, Metallica Black Album. Bob, I mean, that was for me, my first introduction to Bob Marley was about 9th grade, 10th grade right there. And that was a revelation. All of that. And then the kind of close to early to mid 90s hit, and the whole gangster rap thing, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, all of that exploded along with grunge. And that just was transformational. So,
So what do you listen to now, Turner? What are the things that do you keep going back to Metallica and
I don't know, man.
hip hop?
I got a 15-month-old daughter that runs my house, so
A lot of Baby Shark over there.
So
right.
I like so locally the guys, things that I drive off of locally.
Mm-hmm.
Their last album wasn't my favorite, but I will go back to Houndmouth time and time again. I fucking love that band. I really wish COVID didn't cancel my Sturgill Simpson tickets because I really wanted to see Sturgill, especially with his latest album.
Yep.
I mean, I've seen Dwight Yoakam 4 times. I can go back to Dwight Yoakam. I can cover a gamut of songs, but yeah, those are. I mean, I've seen My Morning Jacket a lot. Again, this all drives from my dad. Always, I mean, my dad. I asked for drums for my 3rd grade Christmas, my 4th grade Christmas, and my 5th grade Christmas. And my 5th grade Christmas, dad's like, here's a saxophone. I was like, oh, shit, that's a reed instrument, man. I don't want to do this.
Right.
And that motherfucker made me learn to play saxophone until I was so good that my teacher was like, you can get a college scholarship. I was like, but chicks don't hook up with the band guys. So I don't know what to do. So I'm going to go commit crimes. Like, hit that. Be an idiot.
Come on, just grow your hair out and permit and Kenny G part 2.
No, I had an afro and a pick in 7th grade.
We need pictures.
We
need the 7th grade annual. We need that.
That's going to have to go in the permit.
I can document this, guys. But so I really appreciate my dad for teaching me guys like Leonard Cohen.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. You have your mainstream like you have the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, but then you have like your poets in the 70s and 80s that I didn't fucking know a thing about. And so I listened to a lot of Leonard Cohen. I love that guy. And that leads me more to Sturgill Simpson than to other country artists.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And I like storytelling, whether it's instrumental for Bela Fleck. I mean, it's just the crescendo of experience up and down. I appreciate art in a lot of different ways, mainly the alcoholic ways. And so I got to give a big shout out to my father for instituting that in me.
All right. So you brought up storytelling in music, which brings me to a certain artist that I've been kind of deep diving for the last few weeks. I've been a big fan of for a number of years, but Jason Isbell, what's your take on this guy? Because for me, lyrically and storytelling wise, on a song level, I don't know that there's a comparison right now.
I'd be inclined to agree.
I don't know if they're just the what he's done.
Right.
To take a guitar and make it something so much bigger. And we've seen other people do it, but in terms of staying too true to his content, I can't think that there's anything better than listening to Tour of Duty, listening to the songs that he has put together, listening to Elephant, listening to Album Finds. Like he's
right.
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, you take the concept. Go ahead, Drew.
No, I was just gonna say I got to see him a few weeks back at the Palace here, and there was not a dry eye in the house with Elephant.
Right.
But I think he borrows so much from other songwriters that you would probably we all love. Leonard Cohen being one, Dylan being one, John Prine being one, and it's sort of like, oh, this Jason guy is kind of the amalgamation of all these other things that we loved. I didn't mean to cut you off, Ben. Please.
No, I was just going to say one of the things I've been blown away with is for me which was popular in early country and early Americana, but the whole concept of the death ballad, and I feel like Jason Isbell has taken that and absolutely freaking perfected it, from songs like White Oak to A Vet to Elephant to the one that's absolutely haunting me right now is Only Children, which I mean. The song's a couple years old, but I've just been going back to it. And from the musical score to it, to the lyrically, what he pulls from it, it's like, oh my God, is anybody writing on this level right now that he can pull from a colloquial level to the genre to, just what he's doing? it connects on such a level for me. And yeah, it's great stuff. And so that for me is a big draw musically anyway. Lyrically, if your content is rich and it's powerful, that's what moves me. So when you're bringing up musicians like that, that's what immediately draws me back to Jason Isbell on what he's doing. But
I think it's awesome.
yeah,
I think it's probably the best example that we've had tonight in terms of storytellers.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of talked around Dylan. What are your thoughts on him? Some people like him. Some people are turned off by it.
I love him. Oh fuck! I'm trying to. There's a different James What's the James
Taylor.
James Taylor.
Yeah.
Let's meet James Taylor. Told him and his wife I didn't like his music. I was a bellman at a ski resort couple lives back, and I was like, man, because his wife, I got them all the room and I got them all settled, and she's like, what do you think of my husband's music? I was like, why the fuck are you gonna do that? Because obviously everyone says I love your music. And I said, I don't love your music. Like it's too mainstream for me. It's too happy. And I'm from Kentucky. Tell me a shitty story. Tell me something that sucks. Tell me things that make you sad, because I'm not a fucking perfect person. So Bob Dylan, Jason Isbell, guys that can tell you things that you know are real, that you can relate to, I appreciate.
Yeah.
And I'm not that much of an upbeat person. You get around me, like we can sit in a dark room of a corner bar and drink, or we can go to the biggest, loudest, crowded bar with all the coolest things, and we will go to the corner of the dark room and drink there. But I don't need to be happy all the time, because that ain't how life works.
That's interesting, because I think I've told those guys on this show before. What I've come to the realization, the music that moves me is the stuff that people have written out of personal experience, that comes out of pain, out of a difficult period, out of darkness or whatever. For whatever reason, stuff that comes out of that carries such a weight of emotion. That's what moves me. So like for me, I gravitate towards stuff like Alice in Chains, because Lance Staley, his voice, he sings out of a real place of pain and of experience. And that's what carries me and moves me. A lot of blues music is that way. Jason Isbell, for me, I think he storytells really well, but I think he also carries a lot of personal experience in what he sings about, and that it carries forth. And that's the kind of stuff that kind of stirs me up musically. So yeah, sure. A happy song, an upbeat song is great, but then take me to that low place, that dark place, and that's where I'll dwell with you for a while.
So no Bobby McFerrin then. So we're all out.
One song, and then let's go.
We're out on Bobby McFerrin. Okay,
Right.
I'll make a note. Okay, so we've been sipping on this Jamaican rum for a little bit, and so I want to get some thoughts. Drew, what are you thinking here?
Yep. So this one immediately comes through with what I kind of associate with rum, and I don't know if that's a dunder thing or if that's an ester thing or whatever, but it's just this bright kind of apple, and I mean this in the most pleasant way, just like a funk to it. And so it's
like dirty banana bread.
Man, that's fascinating. I hear you. Yeah. So I'm curious, I'm really enjoying it, but like if you gave this to me in a sample blind, I would say, okay, this is, a rum, probably aged in a bourbon cask, but possibly in a wine cask. I don't know the specs on this one, but it's pretty easily identifiable with other things that are typical of the category. So what leads to that? What's the factor that
Is
I'm
there-
picking up on there? 'Cause
I was
I
gonna
really
say,
don't understand it.
is there a sherry cask influence on this?
Nope. Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing.
Because
'Cause
this has got the funk of a drier sherry.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That apple that Drew talked about is there, but the walnut, the banana bread note is coming through pretty good. There's a little bit of a chocolate note coming in. It's, to me, there's a darkness to this that's missing from the other two rums. That holy shit, this is good. This is really good.
Yeah.
Okay. What's
So-
interesting is the three of us trying this.
Right.
I think somebody said, "Was it finished in a bourbon cask?" And somebody asked. If it was
I
finished
thought
with
sherry. I feel like there was like almost an Amontillado sherry kind of.
I thought it was. I thought it had to be a rye cask. And
So let me
and
tell
Turner
you about it.
Turner says it's nothing.
Yep.
So tell us
Yep.
about it, Turner.
Let me
Hit
tell
us,
you about
man.
it. So first, we'll get into the specs of the actual product. This is a 126 proof, 14-year-old single barrel from Jamaica. So when anything that we say that's an older age single barrel, we did nothing. Brought the
Okay.
barrel in, bottled it because we loved it, gave it to the public. And
Gotcha.
I love this product.
Yeah.
So 14 years old, 126 proof. This is distilled by one of the few 5 distilleries in Jamaica. They won't let us disclose it on paper, which they should, because it would add value to them.
Sure.
Worthy Park, Ben, unlike what you've tried to do, does not do a dunder. But this is a 2-week-old wild yeast strain,
Okay.
and it's double pot still. Sorry, I got the hiccups.
Good.
Fine.
You need some more to drink.
I know. So
There's caramel, there's apple, there's raisin.
Okay.
There's just so much going on in this. It's
I get
man, as a fan of rum, this is fucking good rum.
I get a like a chewing gum note on the nose. When I picked it up and just passed it by my nose and sat it down to write the note, I thought, wait a minute, that smells like juicy fruit.
here's
I can see what you're saying. I see where you get that, Kevin. Yeah.
Here's how Jordan, my partner, and I describe it. Is the last one you drank the 9-year Foursquare?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's like if you're a Weller only drinker, or you've only learned weeded bourbon,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not ready to taste real pot still. And when you're really willing to venture out, you know, this Jamaican is like drinking like some real original wild turkey. And if you're a wild turkey drinker, you will love this Jamaican. If you hate this Jamaican, you will love our Barbados products.
Right.
Because this Jamaican is double pot still. It is wild yeast strain, a 2-week-long fermentation cycle, meaning that you're creating so much more of those higher esters, and by double pot stills, you're getting so much more of those fossil fuels that it's gonna taste like unripe bananas or like rubber. I remember the first time. I remember 2010. Someone's like, "Tastes like rubber." I was like, "That's the worst description ever." And then I learned, like, oh, in some circles, that's a compliment.
Right.
Like, oh, you need to learn how to use tobacco and rubber as compliments. Like, why the fuck would you do that? Oh, now I know.
I was going to say drink Campbelltown whiskey or Campbelltown Scotch. You know, like Springbank or something. You'll learn what that tire fire
You're like,
means,
oh shit.
and it's it's revelation in a good way.
And this is that little small piece of that.
Yeah, no, this is gorgeous. And you're talking about a 2-week fermentation time. The esters you're going to pull.
And just how
Holy
robust the
cow.
body
Yeah.
is compared to the first two products that we drink. Not that I don't want to upsell one thing that I have versus downsell other ones. But what's interesting about Jordan and I is we are as much as fans of what we are doing in terms of drinking it as the products that we put out on the market. So we get more excited about our Jamaican Worthy Parks than anything else.
No, the closest thing I've had that reminds me of this, I had some Claren rums from Haiti here in the last year that were unaged. The level of funk, but also the level of flavor that carried forth in those was just unbelievable. They were cask strength, And the same thing for this. I'm getting some of that funkiness coming through it puts me in mind of those Haitian rums to a degree. I mean, I've had plenty of good Jamaican rums, but some of those haven't quite carried the funkiness that this one has. And I mean that in all the best sense. This is freaking stellar.
Absolutely. Because Appleton is, and I've got all the world of respect in the world for Appleton.
Right.
But they're kind of like a Brown Forman or a Woodford Reserve, where they're trying to create product consistency.
Yes.
We, as independent bottlers, we live in product inconsistency.
Right.
So we are always looking for what's different.
What's unique? Exactly.
If you want something that's consistent, you could reach out to us and we can steer you in the way that isn't our product per se. But if you've already driven down some of those roads and you want something vibrant and interesting, but still will make the world's best old fashioned, which it will, you drink that 14-year-old Worthy Park that we got. And we are excited that our growth is not so much in our wallets, but in the inventory that we have that we are excited to bring out into market over the coming years.
Are there other places that you will bring in rum in addition to El Salvador, Barbados, and Jamaica? Other distilleries that you're working with?
Yeah, so we've worked with 7 different countries of origin. So we've done Barbados, we've done Jamaica, we've done Guadeloupe. The Diamond Distillery in Guyana is...
Oh, wow.
We just got 2 barrels, which if you don't know about the Diamond Distillery in Guyana, they hold some of the oldest configurated stills in the continental United States. Both, one a coffee still, and they're both over 200 years old.
Wow.
The stills are 200 years old.
Made out of wood. Wow.
Shut up.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so we will do Guyana, we'll do Dominican, we'll do El Salvador. But I think for our short-term goal is to stay Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mainly because we're 2 dudes and we don't have a lot of money, and they make the best rum.
Mm-hmm.
We would love to get to a point where we are just on the back label and we are promoting Caribbean distillers and Caribbean rums.
Sure.
That's our end all goal. Because in the world of just bringing rum to market, not making rum, but bringing rum to market, I'm not fucking making it. I've worked a long time. I understand the inputs and in the capacity, but we would like to be showcasing some of the fine people that are doing the hard work, whereas we're building the market audience. So I'm not going to downplay our part in this, but I'm not a fucking distiller in Jamaica, and I don't want to pretend to be.
Right. Right. So I want to circle back to, you were talking about this diamond distillery in Guyana, and you say you've got 2 barrels from there. What are your plans for those? Because that the whole distillery setup, the still setup there sounds fascinating, but I'm just curious as to what you have planned for those.
I got one pre-sold into Texas because they are very interested. And so, I mean, available on market right now today are 2 of the single barrels that we brought in last year, which are the first of all single barrel brought into the U.S. market of Foursquare 22-year-old in Guadeloupe. And so Guadeloupe, which is a French protectorated or French protected entity, makes a designated agricole rum that we designate as AOC. Okay. Well, in 1998, the distiller that we procured our rum from was using molasses. So in market in the U.S. right now on Sealbox, I've got a 22-year-old Guadeloupe rum that was made from molasses that will never be repeated. Now it sells expensively, but $300 in the U.S. American market for a 22-year-old product versus the things that we see sell for $300 that are spirits.
Yeah.
Is that crazy?
Well, I just looked at Sealbox, and that 22-year is sold out. But they do have this still up, which you referenced earlier.
Buy it.
Rum 3-pack.
It's $100 discount. It's awesome.
Yeah. So, there's a really nice selection of things on Sealbox, and we'll include the link to the Rolling Fork page on Sealbox when we put this show out. But there's some great stuff there. So what are your plans here in the near future, long term, for Rolling Fork, Turner?
All right, guys. So I don't think I can stop my computer from rebooting in 20. Oh no, it's 29 minutes. Fuck that. It's 29 seconds. I was nervous. So yeah,
that's gorgeous.
When Rolling Fork derives from my family's Rolling Fork distillery that was founded in 1796. We were one of the first Kentucky distillers to make American corn whiskey in the state of Kentucky before it was a state, when it was Virginia. And that was my big growth and that was my big impetus. Now I just want to have the biggest mass amount of independent rum that's of high quality that I can.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about a brand of ours called Fortuna's Union, which is the world's first bottled blend of rum and rye whiskey.
Yep.
Yes.
But we have batch 2 coming out, which is a blend of a 4-year-old Dominican, 4-year-old Jamaican, 4-year-old Barbados, in a 5-year MGP 95.5 rye that's been rebarreled for over a year, that sits at 110 proof. We're excited about FU Batch 2. And we will follow the American single barrel game, and we will continue to roll out single barrels of rums that have been maybe refinished in Weller or Wild Turkey or Heaven Hill. And there'll be a variety of 6 to 8 to 9 to 10 year range.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited about that. But I would love to grow my barrel stock over 500 barrels this year.
That's awesome. Now, with Fortuitous Union, that was, if I'm correct, that was your first product that you brought in, and the Fortuitous Union was what?
That was us learning welcome to the market of spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a fuck up.
F-U, Fortuitous Union.
So we tried our El Salvador, the El Salvador blend. Our original intention was for this to do that. We attempted to do that in 2016, and then our contract facility accidentally blended our rum with 9 years of, or with 95 gallons of 5-year MGP 95 rye.
Mm-hmm. Now, this was a true mistake. It wasn't some marketing gimmick mistake. This was really, you're there, you're watching them dump your barrels, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, something's not right about this, right?
I watched it. I saw it happen. I saw them dump 900 pounds or about 4 barrels of Trinidad rum into a dump tank, and then it scaled up over 1,000 pounds. You don't gain weight when you dump a product. They go through a charcoal filter where they lose a little bit. They don't increase, and we don't have. No one has a volume metric. Everyone's done on weight. When you're scaling everything, it's done on a metric scale of weight. It's not. You're not having a product that gauges volume.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw our product increase over 900 pounds. And I said to the people, something's wrong, and everybody ran away. And I was in Bardstown, Kentucky, and then the big swinging dick in charge came down and said, can you come to this room? No one's ever invited me to a room, still to date. I don't ever get invited to the room. You only go to the room when something fucking terrible happens. And that started a 4-month night fight where they offered to buy our product and then told us we can't sell our product, and then us fighting to get the legislation to sell our product, and then distributors telling us that by blending rum and rye whiskey, we are in the lowest sale category, which is a distilled spirit specialty. It's lower than vodka, and no one will love your product. To me, doing a road show, which I've done forever, of now I go and sell this product, and I convince all of you that I can sell this product. And I watch people from when it was fucked up to when it was bottled tell me this was a bad idea.
Yeah.
And we rolled with it, and it's good. Because we've had 2 people try to imitate it. One being Jim Beam. Here's a fucking funny story. This is great. I love Jim Beam. I mean, I love them. I love makers. I love everything about them. But my great-great-grandfather went down and bought the old Hayden family distillery from Basil, not Basil, Basil's grandson in 1896 after he blew himself up on a still. I don't know how we did, Benjamin. We talked about it. We don't know how it happens.
Right.
But Basil Hayden's grandson experiencing catastrophic injuries. Catastrophic.
Mm-hmm.
And then his family company went into a trust for 10 years until my great-great-grandfather, Nace Wathen, went down and bought the Hayden family distillery. And lore, so to speak, is we upgraded the rye in the mash bill and increased the age statement to 7 years. And that's what's the now more traditional Old Granddad brand. Well, we ran Old Granddad from pre-Prohibition through Prohibition until it was sold to national distillers, then to Jim Beam. So then Jim Beam starts Basil Hayden Caribbean Rye, which is a blend of rum and rye whiskey.
Right.
They did that because we did FU. They did focus groups. They did surveys. And then they came out with Caribbean Rye.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, the proof was 83 proof. The blend was not what we would do. And they didn't torpedo us. And now we had to roll out with FU Batch 2, which will still be at 110 proof. It'll still be a solid blend of Caribbean Rye. And it'll be at 110 proof.
Nice.
Yeah, I had a chance to try the first batch of Fortuitous Union. Didn't know the whole story behind it at the time, but I was at a bar and the bartender recommended it, so I had a little pour of that. It was delicious. So I'm looking forward to this batch too. When do you think you'll have that out?
Absolutely.
It'll roll out in June or July, but we fucked up batch 2 because it was supposed to be a general blend of 60 to 40 rum to rye, but we left out some barrels of rye. This is a 80-20 Caribbean blend of 80% rum and 20% rye. It's awesome. We've been aging it in double oaked and Weller barrels for over a year. Total age will be 7 years or 5 years because you got to take the nominal base age. And it'll be at 110, and it'll retail for under 50 or under $50.
That's awesome. That's amazing. That'll be fantastic.
Can't wait to try that.
So, well, Turner, we've kept you here for a good bit, and have really enjoyed talking to you, talking a lot about rum, because this is terrific product. You guys are doing a great job with this. Talking a little music, and that was a lot of fun as well. We definitely want to have you back on sometime, maybe later in the year when batch 2 comes out, and we can talk about it. But tell everybody where they can find you and where they can find Rolling Fork.
Yeah, so we're pretty simple. Check us out at rollingforkrum.com. We list all our territories. If you hit us up on social media, it's just Rolling Fork Rum on Instagram or on Facebook. Benjamin, Drew, Kevin, I sincerely appreciate you guys' time. And you guys are the entities that are driving the market. So I know I thank you all for everything that you do, and keep up doing home distilling and all the things that the TTB tells you not to do. Thank you all for your time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Turn.
Yep. We definitely want it to be as supportive and as friendly as possible with folks like you that are doing some great things and bringing this quality of rum and the things that you're doing with it here in Kentucky, really, really special. And anything we can do to help spread the word, we want to do that. So, Ben, tell us where folks can find you on social media, please.
Best place to follow me right now is on Instagram. A new site or a new page I have going, whatever you want to call it, Padawan _distiller. You can follow my distilling journey as I'm working with Kentucky Artisan right now, kind of pulling back the curtain, if you will, providing a real tongue-in-cheek. Yep, sure am. But with
tell Jade I said hi.
Will do, absolutely. And but providing kind of a realistic look at what goes on in distilling and the journey to get there. So
yeah, it's a great site. It really is a lot of fun. I enjoy the posts that you have on it.
Yeah, thanks.
Drew, where can folks find you, sir?
Yep. You can find me on Twitter at DrewCrawley63 and on Instagram at Drew.Crawley63. We've discussed this before, but choose your viewing experience based on which platform you follow. And hopefully we'll have some new music out later this month, or some previews about some new music stuff coming.
Oh.
So,
well, I'm looking forward to that. If you have not already been streaming Tower Songs, you can do that. Please do. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube.
Right.
Check out Drew on Tower Songs. It is a fantastic EP. I really enjoy it, sincerely. As far as Bourbon Turntable, you can find us on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms. We are Bourbon Turntable on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well. And so come on and join in with us, what we're doing. And our next show, Drew, tell us about that.
Yeah, we're talking things in Texas. So we're doing Texas whiskey and ZZ Top. As always, I'm sure it'll be a great show, but we got some pretty exciting things to taste and some great music to listen about.
That'll be a lot of fun. So until next time, on behalf of Drew and Benjamin, thank you for tuning in. Turner, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, gentlemen.
It's a fantastic time, and thank you for sharing some of this excellent rum. And until next time, cheers, love, and free bird.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Whew.